Professional bridesmaid Maggie Bailey comes across an investigative journalist, Henry Whittington, who is covering the mayor's wedding where she is working as a bridesmaid. Sparks fly, but will the lies about her actual profession keep them apart? We see Maggie holding a wedding dress and awkwardly hitting strangers. She spots a one-leg scooter and her face lights up. She then zooms across town while hitting strangers and reaches the bride, who is thrilled to get her wedding dress on time. Nora, the wedding planner and her friend, asks her how she manages to save the day. Maggie smiles and refuses to reveal her secrets. She gets summoned by the bride for the photos, and before heading over, she hands Nora veil weights for holding the veil in place. When Nora asks her what else she has in her bag, Maggie replies she has anything a bride might need. The bride personally comes to invite Maggie over for photos, and she decides to meet Nora later. At her apartment, Nora brings her food and Maggie is delighted. She tells Maggie how the bride's parents could not stop gushing about her. Maggie tells her she is spending too much time at weddings. Nora suggests Maggie should get some romance of her own, and Maggie laughs. She also tells Nora about her plans to scale her business, so she can hire 5 more bridesmaids and train them. She has even prepared a plan for Professional Bridesmaids Inc., and Nora is very excited about the idea. Maggie gets a little low while she informs Nora that the bank has rejected her loan request again. She says confidentiality is important in her work, which is why she cannot get any references from her clients. Nora gets excited as she tells Maggie about her solution. She tells Maggie about the Ohio mayor's daughter's wedding, and that she got the job after their wedding planner dropped out. Maggie is excited about this opportunity for her. Nora tells Maggie that the bride can use her services, and using the mayor's connection, she can also get a head start on the loan situation. Maggie admits it will be a great opportunity, but hesitates since the wedding is just in 2 weeks. The mayor, Evan Shepard, is getting his photo clicked in his office, and his campaign manager, Thomas, guides him through the process. Maggie enters the office and introduces herself. They dismiss the photographer and sit down to have a word with her. The mayor asks her what exactly she does, and Maggie explains that she is a professional bridesmaid. She tells them how the day can be overwhelming for the bride, and her job is to take care of all the problems. The mayor agrees and tells Maggie he lost his wife, Carol, 3 years ago. He also explains how she was the perfect planner, and that his daughter, Alexis, is just like her. He even tells Maggie that Alexis has been a huge support to him and he wants to give her the best wedding. Thomas adds that a special election is also in 2 months and the press has been invited to cover the wedding. Maggie tells them she will make sure she takes away all the pressure from the bride. Thomas tells her how important discretion is, and Maggie agrees. The mayor then tells her that only Thomas, Alexis, and he will know who she is. The mayor also says he knows about her bank situation and is willing to introduce her to someone at the wedding. Maggie is honored, and Thomas informs her that she will stay at their mansion till after the wedding. They inform Maggie of the importance of not getting any bad press. Maggie tells Nora on the phone that she has been hired. Nora asks her where she is, and Maggie informs that she is in Evergreen Park, a hiking trail she found on her way. As Maggie continues her hike, a biker bumps into her and falls. Henry apologizes for interrupting her and explains that he is using his friend's bike. Maggie laughs and tells him it is okay, and says she is hiking to distress. Henry tells her he does the same and is about to start a new job. Maggie then offers to help him get some leaves out of his clothes and tells him he looks presentable. They discuss how healing nature feels, and Henry leaves. Henry is walking with his boss, Kay, in their office, and she tells him she is upset about his earlier newspaper, Register News, shutting down. She tells him that Columbus is happy to have him. Henry, who is an investigative journalist, shows his excitement about joining in. Kay tells him she has the perfect assignment for him. As he has covered City Hall and interviewed the mayor, she assigns him the task of covering the mayor's daughter's wedding with the pro hockey player, Dylan. She tells him it is a high-profile event of national interest, and Columbus is the only site to get full access. Henry hesitates and tells her he only covers serious news. Kay patiently tells him that his old paper went down for a reason, and Columbus is thriving because they handle politics, but mainly focus on listicles, celebrities, and games. As Henry tries to protest again, Kay tells him that if he wants to do political news, he has to cover the wedding first. He tells Kay he has been trying to interview the mayor about his position on the rezoning of Evergreen Park. Kay tells him he can do that, but his first focus should be the wedding. A little disappointed but determined to get his scoop, Henry agrees. Maggie reaches the mansion and introduces herself to Alexis as the professional bridesmaid. Alexis warmly welcomes her and tells her she had doubts about her father hiring her. Maggie tells her to be comfortable and that she wants to give her that extra help. She asks about the maid of honor, and Alexis reveals it is her cousin, Chloe. She tells her the other bridesmaids are Ruthie and Shannon, who were her sorority sisters in college. Alexis tells her how chaotic the situation is. She informs her that Shannon is a fashion influencer doing very well, and Ruthie is planning her wedding. She then mentions Chloe and says she is not very organized. She explains how she used to be closer to Chloe, but Chloe wanted to travel all the time. She also tells her how Chloe is struggling with the bridal shower. Maggie says she can help with that and asks about the groom. Alexis looks very tense and Maggie picks up on that, telling her that she feels Alexis is handling too much. Alexis looks over at a photo and Maggie asks if that is her mom. Alexis wishes her mom could be at the wedding but lights up at the idea of her mom's friend, Darlene, being there. She tells Maggie how important it is for Darlene to be there and how it will feel like a part of her mother is with her at the wedding. She then tells Maggie they are meeting the other bridesmaids soon. When Maggie tells her about her cover story idea, Alexis humbly apologizes for already giving a backstory to Maggie. She explains how Maggie is supposed to be a wine distributor from New York called Macy. She tells her Macy was the horse her mom bought for her when she was 10. Maggie agrees to assume the identity and they head to meet the bridesmaids. Alexis introduces Maggie to the bridesmaids and she warmly greets them. Chloe is surprised they have never heard of Maggie. Posing as Macy, Maggie professionally takes charge and tells them how she has heard about all of them. She uses all the information she got from Alexis to flatter them. Maggie and Alexis come under the radar again when the bridesmaids want to know how they met. Alexis says they met on a cruise. Maggie offers to help Chloe with the bridal shower, but Chloe tells her she has it covered and is closing in on the location. Maggie as a professional is worried that nothing is decided yet, which makes Chloe also nervous, but she says the venue will be chosen soon. Maggie still offers to help but Chloe shuts her down. They ask Maggie about her winery and she comes up with a French name on the spot. Shannon tries to find her wine label on social media. Right on cue, the drinks arrive and they all take a wedding selfie. Thomas tells the mayor that Henry Whittington has been assigned to cover the wedding, and he calls him Mr. Relentless. Thomas informs him that after his paper closed, Henry has joined the only website the mayor said yes to. Thomas tells him to not talk to Henry about Evergreen Park since it will alienate half the voters, and the mayor agrees. In the mansion, Maggie bumps into Henry again and is surprised to see him there. He tells her he is covering the wedding as a reporter and she tells him she is a bridesmaid. He makes a joke about matching pink dresses and Maggie happily tells him about an ancient Roman tradition where the bride's friends dress similarly to confuse evil spirits. Henry is amazed and asks if she is a bridesmaid expert. Maggie slightly panics and finds an excuse about attending too many weddings. They then formally introduce themselves and Maggie tells him her name is Macy Ryder, and she is a wine distributor. Thomas calls Henry for an interview with Alexis and Dylan. As he leaves, Thomas asks Maggie if she knows the reporter, and she tells him she just met him on a hike. Thomas warns her to not interact with him too much. Henry seems completely lost as he tries to ask human interest questions to the couple. Alexis excitedly tells him about how they met at a fundraiser. She then continues with a cute story about how Dylan gave her the last burger at the event, and how it was love at first sight. Henry is not familiar with such situations, so he starts asking the questions he understands. He grills them about where they spent the money raised from the charity. Thomas intervenes and reminds him that he is writing about a wedding. He awkwardly apologizes and Thomas ends the interview. Henry corners Thomas and tells him he wants to speak to the mayor about Evergreen Park, and Thomas sternly insists that the mayor is very busy. Henry keeps rambling and Thomas tells him to just focus on the wedding. Maggie comes to him and Henry admits he is not too good with human interest stories. He then looks at her and asks if he can use the information she gave him. Maggie is blushing and says she is happy to help. Alexis is freaking out and comes to Maggie, telling her that Chloe messed up the order of the centerpieces and the venue for the bridal shower. Maggie tries to calm her down and tells her this is her area of expertise. She assures her she will deal with the florist and knows someone at the Arbor Club, which would be the perfect venue. She tells her she will ask them to contact Chloe so she will not know Maggie is involved. Alexis is happy with the solution, but gets another text from Shannon, who wants to provide bridesmaids' dresses. Maggie tells Alexis she will do whatever she wants. Alexis wants to just avoid conflict. Maggie tells her how some people focus too much on the details that they forget a wedding is just about celebrating love. Thomas then interrupts and asks to speak with Maggie. He observes how Maggie is getting along well with the reporter and tells her to be his press liaison. When she is confused, Thomas explains that he needs her to keep Henry distracted through the wedding and away from the mayor. When Maggie insists that it is not part of her job, Thomas reminds her that she needs to do everything to make sure there is no bad press. Thomas also tells her to not let Henry know who she is. Maggie is choosing the centerpieces in the morning when she spots Henry. He tells her Thomas wants him to cover a story about daffodils. Maggie laughs and tells him he is pointing at daisies. Henry gets awkward and Maggie tries to make him comfortable by telling him he is stuck with her as she has been assigned to guide him. He says he is not complaining about the company. She takes him towards the bouquets and tells him a story of how they go back to ancient times when brides had to carry herbs to ward off evil spirits. Henry jokes about there being too many evil spirits in ancient times. Maggie then tells him another reference to how bouquets in the Middle Ages became a way for brides to toss to get away from all the people trying to take away her luck. Henry is impressed by her knowledge of weddings and asks her to slow down so he can take some pointers for the story. He tells her that people love weddings for the frills, but she seems to truly understand the meaning behind it. She tells him how it is all tied up. She then teases him about how he must think weddings are silly. He tells her he believes in love and commitment, but not when it involves choosing the kind of cake frosting. The bride and bridesmaids are enjoying a spa day and thank Shannon for arranging it. Shannon then tells them about the bridesmaids' dresses she is thinking of, when Alexis informs her they already have dresses. Shannon does not budge, and Maggie steps in with her research and tells her how Shannon's designer accessories are even better. So instead of dresses, he can handle the accessories so Alexis can keep her bridesmaids' dresses. Shannon agrees and Alexis thanks Maggie. Chloe informs them that the perfect venue has reached out, which is also part of Maggie's plan. At the office, Kay compliments Henry for writing a strong bouquet story with its history. He tells her a bridesmaid helped him. She spots some pictures on his laptop and he tells her about his next big scoop, which is the wedding gown. Henry reaches the spot with notes and Maggie compliments him about his research. She offers to teach him a few basics and picks out some styles of gowns to show him. She tells him what brides want. Henry asks what she would choose and she picks out a simple and elegant gown. They both share a laugh and then Henry seriously asks her if she has thought about getting married. She hesitates and he calls her mysterious. He tells her if there is someone he is interested in, he is curious to know. She then tells him about David, whom she met in college, and how they were together but he was never ready for commitment. So 2 days before their wedding, she said no. She tells him that she wants the man she marries to be ready for it. Henry tells her she made the right choice. She asks him the same thing and he confesses how he was busy with his work in his last relationship, and just missed on the real story of his girlfriend seeing someone else. Maggie feels bad for him. He tells her he has his next story thanks to her, and then he asks her hesitantly if she wants to go for a drink. Maggie wants to go with him but she realizes how many lies she is telling him, so she makes an excuse about chores to get out of it. She then makes an awkward comment about wine and Henry corrects her, feeling confused why a wine distributor does not know about wines. At the mansion, Thomas corners Maggie to ask her why he is getting calls about the location of the bridal shower. She tells her she will take care of it. Nora meets Maggie for dinner and updates her about the arrangements, but she can see Maggie is distracted. Maggie tells her how she is worked up because she cannot step on Chloe's toes but also has to make sure everything goes smoothly for the bridal shower. Nora notices how Maggie never gets flustered and that there must be something else. She then tells her how Thomas is using her to distract Henry and she hates it. She feels a connection with someone after a long time. Nora tells her Henry cannot find out who she is and Maggie assures her that she will keep a professional distance. Maggie makes a few calls to confirm the arrangements for the shower the next day and asks them to reimburse the card for an excess order. When Nora comments on how busy she is, she tells Nora how Chloe has missed a lot of things and even forgot to update the venue on the website. They then go for Nora's presentation and she explains to the bride and groom how the setting will be. Alexis loves the plan but gets nervous when there is a discrepancy in the guest list. David goes to sort it out and Maggie comes over to Alexis to calm her down, who tells her she is thinking about her mother. She asks Maggie to confirm with Chloe if Darlene, her mom's friend, is coming for the wedding. Maggie assures her she will take care of it. Henry corners Thomas again and asks to speak to him about the Evergreen Park story. Thomas keeps resisting but Henry spots the mayor and heads over to talk to him. Thomas asks Maggie for her help with Henry, and she asks him to come to the dance practice with her. During the practice, Henry is taking notes and everyone prepares to do the waltz. As only Maggie is without a partner, the instructor tells Henry to join her. He protests about being involved in the wedding and she tells him to not keep a lady waiting. Henry joins Maggie, who tries to teach him some basic steps. He pretends to not know what he is doing but smoothly transitions into a perfect dancer. Maggie is surprised and he tells her his parents are dance instructors. Henry tells Maggie he knows she has been trying to keep him away from the mayor. She apologizes and says she is stuck in the middle. He tells her not to worry and that he will corner the mayor eventually. He tells her about how there is a proposal to build condos in Evergreen Park and the mayor's comment is important for the public. He then says he wants to write about bridesmaids and invites her for dinner. She asks if it is a date and he assures her it will be professional. At the dinner, Maggie tells him how much she loves Alexis and he asks her why she loves weddings so much. She tells him it feels like a life-changing experience and that ever since she was a child, she has loved weddings. Henry promises to stop being a reporter and enjoy dinner with a beautiful lady. She blushes and asks him if he still hates weddings. He smiles and says all because of her, he can see weddings in a new light. Maggie then tells him a fun fact about Merlot and Henry is again confused and points out that she is drinking Chianti. Alexis is trying to choose between 2 dresses for her bridal shower. Maggie brings her a third option, which is the dress her mom was wearing in the photo. Alexis gets teary and knows she has found the perfect dress. Alexis asks Maggie about Darlene again and she assures her she is coming. They reach the venue for the bridal shower and Maggie is confused, so she asks Chloe why they are not at the Arbor Club. Chloe tells her they called her but she booked this place instead. Maggie apologizes because she updated the wrong address on the wedding website and promises to fix it. Inside, Maggie is amazed by the job Chloe has done for the shower. Maggie tells Alexis to relax and spots Henry there. He asks to take a photo with her and Maggie gets scared, but she agrees. He flirts with her and tells her she makes the flowers look bad. Maggie blushes and tells him to do his job. All the guests arrive and Maggie is relieved, but Alexis cannot spot Darlene. Chloe tells her that Darlene is there and points to a different Darlene. Alexis is upset and Chloe realizes she has made a huge mix-up and invited the wrong person. Alexis leaves and Maggie follows her, knowing that she has messed up too. In the mansion, the mayor and Thomas corner Maggie. She apologizes for letting them down and says she understands if they want to terminate the agreement. Alexis then sticks up for Maggie and refuses to let her go. Maggie is hiking in the park when Henry comes from behind. He tells her he came to check on her because she seemed upset last time. She tells him that she let Alexis down. She looks nervous and confesses that she is not sure what she is allowed to tell him as a press contact. He then invites her on a date after the wedding. She is happy but still distant and agrees to go on a date with him. Maggie meets Chloe, who tells her about the refund on her credit card. Maggie begins apologizing again, but Chloe thanks her for fixing her mistake. She tells Maggie how everything she did helped her a lot. She expresses how sad she is about disappointing Alexis again, and how she was not there with her when her mother got sick, and feels guilty. Maggie tells her they can fix it and she offers to help organize a tea party in the backyard. Just like Chloe and Alexis had as kids when one of them upset the other. Henry corners the mayor at his office when Thomas leaves. He keeps asking about Evergreen Park. The mayor tells him he is just focusing on the wedding and refuses to talk. In the mansion, the mayor asks Maggie about Henry and asks if his access can be limited. Thomas informs him there is no other way without inviting trouble, and the mayor agrees. Thomas reminds Maggie about the no bad press rule and she nods. Maggie and Alexis reach the tea party and she is surprised to find Chloe there. Chloe apologizes to Alexis and they hug, and they bring out another surprise. Darlene has come to meet Alexis, who is beyond thrilled as she hugs her. Maggie tells her it is no big deal, but Alexis insists that this is the best thing anyone could have done for her. Maggie spots Henry there, so she goes to talk to him. She tries to tell him about who she is, but gets interrupted by Chloe for a group photo. At the rehearsal dinner, Nora tells Maggie how good a job she has done. Henry then comes to the mayor again at the party and apologizes for cornering him at the office. The mayor is impressed that a journalist is apologizing and promises to give Henry an appointment to discuss Evergreen Park. The mayor gives an emotional speech for his daughter and they drink with Alexis and Dylan. Maggie goes over to him and the mayor tells her she deserves credit for helping Alexis throughout. He also tells her that he has never heard of a professional bridesmaid, but she is worth his money. Meanwhile, we see that Henry has overheard the whole conversation and plays back all the times in his head when he thought something was odd about Maggie. He calls her Maggie and she responds, but then tries to get out of it. He tells her he knows about her and Maggie takes him to a spot upstairs. He says he wanted to trust her and asks why she could not tell him the truth. She tells him that a part of her job was not letting anyone find out. She also tells him her feelings for him are real and asks if he will write about this in his article. Henry is hurt that she thinks of him as a tabloid reporter and leaves. Kay asks Henry what is wrong when he requests someone else to cover the wedding. He tells her he got taken in by a source and became a part of the wedding. She tells him to go with what his heart says. Nora is helping Maggie get ready for the wedding. She is upset about everything that happened with Henry. She meets Alexis under the stairs and both Maggie and the mayor tell her she looks beautiful. It is time for the bridesmaids' entry and they all go up to the stage. As Dylan and Alexis exchange vows, Maggie spots Henry and smiles, who looks away from her. After the wedding, Alexis goes towards Henry to talk to him. She tells him he is missing the real story of how much Maggie cares for him. She tells him that Maggie might be a professional, but she became her friend. Maggie apologizes to Henry for not being honest with him. She says she could not risk revealing her identity. Henry tells her he understands her need to be discreet. He then asks her for a dance. While dancing, he tells her she looks beautiful, and they kiss. Months after the wedding, Henry and Maggie are in Evergreen Park and she congratulates him on the good job he did of covering serious news. Henry is thrilled and he asks if Maggie has time because of the wedding season. She assures him that because of her new employee, she can take some time off and focus on him. They then hold hands and walk into the sunset.